Hello there and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about Midnight. Yes, World of Warcraft Midnight has just been revealed at Gamescom 2025, and in this video we're going to go through all of the details that you need to know about this brand new World of Warcraft expansion coming in 2026. But before we jump into that, I do want to give a massive thank you to all of our channel members and everyone over on Patreon for supporting the channel. Very much appreciated. If you do want to support the channel in that way, I'll leave a link down below. Right, so yes, the second expansion in the World Soul Saga, Midnight, has finally been revealed, and with the epic cinematic and the gameplay trailer and a press kit, we finally know all of the details of this upcoming expansion. I just want to note here that there isn't really a ton of gameplay footage, only really the gameplay trailer, as well as the cinematic and a couple of images from the press kit. So some of the stuff I'm talking about on this list might not have associated images, might just put some random footage behind it, but yeah, you get the idea. So let's get into some of the major features of the expansion, starting with new zones. Yes, like any expansion, this expansion comes with new zones. Now, in the press kit and in the gameplay trailer, it wasn't mentioned anything about a new level cap. However, it has been confirmed to me that the new level cap will be level 90 going into Midnight, so 10 new levels. Anyway, the first new zone we're going to encounter in Midnight is going to be the Eversong Woods. So yes, as mentioned, Quel'Thalas is going to be kind of the area where this expansion is going to be taking place, at least in the first patch. Now, what they've said is that they're completely redoing Eversong Woods and the surrounding areas from the ground up. So it won't be like just an HD remaster, it's going to be a completely redesign, but likely going to have some parts that you would recognize from the original Burning Crusade version. Now, the expansion will begin with Xal'atath's forces attacking the Sunwell, as we saw in the cinematic. Now, Eversong itself has actually healed from the wounds inflicted on the land by the Scourge campaign, and much of what was previously known as the Ghostlands is now actually teeming with life. Now, Silvermoon City will be the expansion hub for Midnight. However, don't worry, Horde players, there will be some areas of this city which are accessible by Horde players only. This is very much still a Horde city. The Alliance will likely have some access into the city just to make it kind of a neutral hub for some part of it. But yeah, there will still be very much a Horde vibe in Silvermoon City. Now, Eversong, as mentioned, is getting attacked, so the threats you're going to be fighting in Eversong are the Void, the Light Bloom, which is a magical overgrowth, and the return of the Armani trolls, and some cultists that serve the Void. So yeah, from the press kit, the images look absolutely amazing. I love seeing these kind of HD remastered Eversong Woods graphics. I think it looks fantastic, and I'm super looking forward to seeing what this looks like in game. Now, after you've played through Eversong Woods, you actually get a choice of two zones. The first is a Zul'Aman zone. Yes, we are getting Zul'Aman as an entire zone. So this expands on the classic raid into a full zone featuring the ancestral lands of the forest tribes, ancient forests, and mountains teeming with wildlife. Around the zone will also be scattered with troll ziggurats and crypts. So yeah, this is actually going to be an incredibly deep and thought out Zul'Aman zone, which I'm super looking forward to seeing the Armani trolls again. It also says in the press kit that you can explore the temples of the Lower, the eagle, the lynx, the dragonhawk, and the bear, but now they are weathered and silent. It was also mentioned to me that there will be some new Lower as well. And also, while in this zone, you are going to meet the new leaders Zul'Jara and Zul'Jan, who are the grandchildren of Zul'Jin. So the Zul'Aman zone definitely has my interest. I always really enjoyed the Zul'Aman raid and the Zul'Aman dungeon, obviously in Cataclysm. It's going to be really interesting to see an HD remaster of an entire zone designed in that way. The other zone, which is completely random from Zul'Aman and Eversong Forest, is Haranir. Yes, this is the homeland of the Haranir. Now, more on them later on. Now, we obviously met the Haranir very briefly in The War Within, but yeah, this is expanding on that lore for this race. Now, this is described as a primordial fungal jungle built around the roots of the world trees, where all manners of life are derived from plant matter that span this zone, including fungal towers, moss bridges, and bioluminescent wildlife. So what we've also been told is that nothing is constructed here. It is basically all natural as an entire zone. The screenshots and footage we've seen of this zone do look absolutely incredible. Now, I do wonder how we're going to get there from Quel'Thalas. Are we going to go down? Are we going to port there? I'm not really sure, and how this links into the entire story of Midnight. But yeah, Haranir, or the originally named Rootlands, is going to be our third zone of Midnight. The fourth and final zone of the launch of Midnight is a zone called Voidstorm. Now, this is described as a distant, chaotic world drenched in void energy, where even the creatures themselves fight to consume not only the heroes of Azeroth, but each other. This features storm fields, low gravity, and 3 massive nexus points. So what we've seen from the trailer and the press kit, this does look very, very similar to Koresh, but way more crazy. I believe this is just like a pure void area filled with all sorts of crazy creatures. We saw some of these new creatures in the trailer as well, which absolutely look amazing. This is going to be a pretty wild zone. Low gravity definitely piques my interest there, but certainly going to be a pretty intense zone. Kind of like the Maw perhaps, but hopefully a little bit less punishing and maybe more fun. But yeah, Voidstorm is going to be our final zone of the Midnight expansion. The next new feature of Midnight is a new gameplay system called Prey. The description of this is that it is a opt-in hunting system led by Astalor Bloodsworn, based in Murder Row in Silvermoon City. This system adds an extra layer of outdoor world gameplay for players seeking more thrill and challenge as they adventure across the Midnight zones. It says hunt powerful targets across zones with unpredictable ambushes. So this actually has 3 different difficulty tiers. You have normal, which are introductory hunts. You have hard mode, which introduce torments and confined final encounters, and then you have nightmare mode, which makes the entire zone a punishing challenge, as they've described. The rewards for this system are listed as cosmetics, mounts, titles, and housing items. This kind of sounds like world tiers, something that we're going to see in the upcoming Legion remix in patch 11.2.5. So yeah, this seems like an expansion of that. Really cool to see them doing something with outdoor content, making it harder, rewarding players for this. The rewards for this are all currently listed as cosmetics, but there may be some player power behind it, which we'll actually have to see once we get into alpha. But yeah, this has definitely piqued my interest as primarily a outdoor world player. Moving on into delves. Yes, delves are returning in Midnight. We have 7 brand new delves in total at launch. In the Eversong Woods, we're going to have 3 delves. We're going to have the Parhelian's Plaza, the Colagate Calamity, and the Shadow Enclave. In Zul'Aman, it actually won't have any delves from launch, it seems. In Haranir, you will have 1 delve, and this is the Den of Echoes. The description of this is explore living murals and ancient myths. In the final zone, Voidstorm, we will have 3 delves. We have the Shadow Guard Point, where it says face corrupted ethereals, the Sunkiller Sanctum, it says explore the Dormana structures, and the final delve is the Torment's Rise, which is actually where you're going to be taking on the Delve Nemesis. So basically 6 normal delves and then 1 Delve Nemesis delve. So no other details on delves, unfortunately, about any system changes or the Delve Companion, but no doubt throughout Gamescom press and things like that, we will find out more about that. Moving on into brand new dungeons. There are 8 dungeons in total from the launch of Midnight. In the Eversong Woods, we have the Windrunner Spire, the Magister's Terrace. Yeah, we're getting the Magister's Terrace, but obviously you'd imagine this is going to be a new version of that. And we also have Murder Row in the Eversong Woods. In Zul'Aman, we have the Den of Norlak. This says a dream trials ending in a punch-out with the Lower of War. And also in Zul'Aman, we have the Maysara Caverns. This says the Vile Branch Necromancers amassing spirits into a troll monastery. In Haranir, we'll have the Blinding Veil. It says face facsimiles of the Harandir's most dangerous foes. And Voidstorm will have the final 2 dungeons. We have the Void Scar Arena. It says survive waves of monsters for the Dormama's amusement. And Nexus Point Zenus, it says ascend into a void tower to disrupt the storm. So yeah, 8 new dungeons coming at launch. No details on Mythic Plus or any changes to that system or what is in the Mythic Plus Season 1 rotation. But we are getting 8 new dungeons, so presumably 4 will be in Season 1 and 4 will be in Season 2. But again, details of that will come out very, very soon, I would imagine. Moving on into raids. So Midnight is going to do something a little bit different, and that is launching with 3 raids. Now, between these 3 raids, there are 9 boss encounters in total, and there wasn't any mention of raid release schedule or anything like that. They might just come out at the same time, or you need to complete one of them to move on to the next. Now, the first raid is the Void Spire. This is a 6 boss raid within Voidstorm, which serves as Xal'atath's stronghold. The second raid is the Dream Thrift. This is a single boss raid that takes place where the veil between primordial dreams and brutal reality is thin. And the final raid is March on Quell Danast. This is mentioned as a 2-boss raid with super story spoilers, so Blizzard are not giving away this one for now. So yeah, 9 bosses in total split between 3 raids. Certainly something different for Midnight. Very interested to see how this is going to work in practice, and no doubt once we get into alpha, we'll have way more more details on each of these raids. Next up is something I was pretty excited to hear about, and that is a new allied race, the Haranir. Yes, the Haranir are going to become a playable race in Midnight. Now, the Haranir will be available to Horde and Alliance, with the available classes being Warrior, Hunter, Rogue, Priest, Shaman, Mage, Warlock, Monk, and Druid, with unique Druid forms. So very much a fan favorite from the War Within, finally becoming playable in Midnight. To unlock the race, all you simply got to do is complete the main story of Midnight, so pretty similar to how the Earthen worked for the most part. Another feature coming to Midnight is a brand new Demon Hunter spec. This spec is called Devourer. This was obviously heavily teased in Koresh, with one of these side stories and one of the bosses from the raid being a Void Demon Hunter. So yes, this is actually a mid-range DPS spec using Void and Cosmic Magic. Now, they did list some of the abilities in the press kit, including Void Metamorphosis. It says transformation sustained by Soul Harvesting. You also have an ability called Collapsing Star, which is a powerful finisher. You have Void Ray, which is a piercing beam of void energy. You have Reap, which is a scythe attack that consumes soul fragments. And Void Blade and Hungering Slash, which are a melee combo with a retreat. Now, as mentioned, this is mid-range, so similar to the Evoker class that we got in Dragonflight. No more details were given in the press kit. However, it's very likely we're going to get a ton more details over the course of Gamescom. The other thing for Demon Hunters is that there is going to be a new race class combo, and this is a Void Elf Demon Hunter. Once again, something that was teased in Koresh, and it seems like we are going to get all of the Demon Hunter customizations, but for the Void Elf model as well. I would imagine that the new spec and the Void Elf Demon Hunter choice will come in the pre-patch for Midnight, as this is one of the systems of the 12.0 patch. Moving on into some new things for PvP in Midnight. So the first thing is a brand new battlegrounds. This is called Slayer's Rise. So this is actually located in the Void Storm zone. Blizzard have said that this zone serves as both an open world PvP hotspot, as well as a new instance epic battleground inspired by Alterac Valley and Isle of Conquest, where players will need to conquer enemy bases before taking on their Dormana commander. The other thing coming for PvP is that Comp Stomp is going to be a permanent feature. Yes, it's no longer going to be a brawl, and they're also adding Battle for Gilneas and the Silver Shard Mine into the Comp Stomp rotation. It's not known whether or not the rewards will stay the same as the current Comp Stomp, as a lot of people use this to farm honor or marks of honor, but I would imagine that's probably going to stay as well. So yeah, Comp Stomp has got a new name, and it is Training Grounds. Another feature that's not so much a secret is that housing and neighborhoods are coming in Midnight. Yes, the ability to create and customize your very own home in World of Warcraft is coming in Midnight. Now, we've had tons of different blue posts and updates on housing, and this will actually be playable at Gamescom as well, so I will have some kind of feature videos coming out very soon on all of that. But people are very excited for the ability to create your own house and collect different decor items for your house. It's listed that these will come from dungeons, raids, achievements, quest signs, crafting, holidays, endeavors, and the auction house. And as well as housing, obviously the neighborhood system is also coming. These are public or private zones with up to 50 players, 50 houses, and will have different monthly activities called endeavors that will offer progression, theme decor, and like NPC evolution of the zone. We've seen loads of previews of this, and I think it looks really interesting for the most part. Not personally experienced any housing in any other MMORPG before, so I'm curious to see how it works and how it is, but from the feedback, it sounds like it's going to be an absolutely amazing system, and comparative to other MMOs, people are very happy with what they've seen so far. So this was also announced as a pre-order feature for Midnight to gain early access to housing, presumably in patch 11.7 of the War Within, with the official launch happening in 12.0 with the pre-patch of Midnight. And finally, with Midnight, there are some pretty major changes happening to the new and returning player experience. So Exile's Reach will get a bit of an update with some of the quests and things that you do over there. Just kind of a little refresher there. But one of the main things they're changing is that the tutorial for Exile's Reach will flow perfectly into Dragonflight instead of having to send you to Orgrimmar or Stormwind. So you are just going to kind of like perfectly flow into the story. The other thing they're adding to the Dragonflight leveling experience is that there are now going to be story mode versions of Razageth, of Sarkareth, and of Farak. So they're definitely smoothing out that sort of leveling experience for new and returning players. They've also mentioned that Skyriding is going to be simplified, with the ability Surge Forward and Skyward Ascent sharing 6 charges each, and the removal of Vigor as a system. And that is going to be a change throughout all of Skyriding, so yeah, we'll have to see more of that once the alpha launches. There's also going to be a returning player experience, so this is an optional Arathi Highlands tour by Jaina or Thrall, depending on your faction, for returning players that don't need the full new player onboarding experience that they get from Exile's Reach. So this is going to be for returning players to the game to get them up to speed with what has been going on without having to play through the entirety of Exile's Reach, which is cool. They also mentioned there is going to be an expansion of the lore walking system with some brand new stories from past expansions being added to that, which is great because I really like the lore walking system. Of course, this will be guided by Lore Walker Cho. And finally, they've also said that there is going to be a shortened questing experience to play through the War Within story to get you up to speed with some of the key story points of the expansion before jumping into Midnight. So obviously, if you didn't ever play the War Within, this kind of story catch-up of the War Within is the perfect thing you need to just kind of find out what's been going on to get you ready for going into the Midnight zones. But yeah, there you go. That is 10 major features of Midnight. There is going to be a ton of more information about Midnight coming out over the week of Gamescom. I'm going to try and cover as much as I can over on the channel, likely going to be in different videos that come out after Gamescom. I will also be hosting an interview with Ian Hazakostas on the Gamescom stage, talking all about Midnight, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Midnight is coming. Can't wait to jump into the alpha whenever that is happening. I really can't wait. I love the theming of this expansion. I love everything I've seen so far, and I really am looking forward to the second chapter of the World Soul Saga. So guys, let me know down below your thoughts on Midnight from the Gamescom announcements that we have seen so far. So guys, if you like this video, please do leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to support me outside of YouTube, I'm also on Patreon and I'm on Twitter at MrGMYT, and I have a partner Discord channel as well. And also, I am streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. If you want to see me stream World of Warcraft, War Within, 1125, Housing, Midnight, any sort of World of Warcraft, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.